Disclaimer, JackFed's content is not meant to replace the actual viewing experience of watching RuPaul's Drag Race. The videos discuss the content of the show, but they don't nearly make as much sense without the context of watching the episode. You can watch season 15 of Drag Race on MTV or WoW Presents Plus if you're outside the US. Hey guys, it's Jack, and I am so frustrated with this week's episode. So I played some catch up, you saw my ranking of the Snatch game on Sunday, and you saw my episode 2 analysis and how I thought the runtime was okay, but for this episode, it killed me. It really killed me. The 40-minute runtime can be okay if it's like an acting challenge where, you know, half of the episode or like a quarter of the episode is the filming, and that can be cut down. We can get the major beats from that, but then we see like the end product, and from there, that's what they're really judging, and those are the critiques they're going with. But when the challenge and the runways of the episode have to be cut down where they're getting most of the critiques, that's where I have a major problem, and we see that here, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just go over the regular episode first. So we pop back into the workroom after Poppy's elimination, and then we start to establish the storylines of the episode right away, which is so good. It's really natural, and it shows that they can still hit story beats with a shorter runtime, but still it is a problem. Sugar and Spice talk about not working together for the first time, and it reestablishes the bond that they have. I mean, we all know they have it, but it's good to kind of go over it again. It makes the impact at the end of the episode 10 times harder, and I'll get to there when I get to there. Lux says that she's then in the top 2, and Lucy is kind of like the third one. It establishes that Lucy is really determined to do good this episode. And then the third storyline that I'm really frustrated they ended up not really going with is that Amethyst feels really not funny, but then in Snatch Game, she was really funny. From the start of this episode, it feels like what Spice says is going to be correct. It's either Amethyst is going to get her third strike and she's out, or she's going to do good in the challenge, and again, she did good in this challenge, but she was just called safe. Okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself again, but I'm just so fired up. This opening is really good, even if it doesn't fully establish every single storyline of the episode. I think it does a really good job. Rue then walks in and introduces that they're doing Snatch Game this week, but in 2 groups. Why they did Snatch Game this early, it is honestly beyond me. Maybe with the move to MTV, they thought it would get viewers back into it, because obviously Snatch Game is a very, very popular episode for the seasons. Old fans may come back and watch the season from this point on because they really enjoy Snatch Game, and it's a very accessible concept and challenge, so it's a good showcase of what the show is all about for new fans. I still don't know the tea on whether they knew it was going to be 40-minute episodes going into the season. My guess is no. The showrunners are extremely smart people, and I don't think they would let Snatch Game happen this early if they knew the runtime was going to be so short. And we really feel that with Snatch Game and the workroom talk right before. It's very standard for the Snatch Game episode for them to just kind of walk around and be like, oh, who are you doing? Oh, that's cool. I'm doing this person. But it's also just as standard for Rue to come in the workroom and do a run through with the queens, which, forgive me, I don't think we've had yet.
Eggs!
And I think the absence of the workroom run-throughs this early on is a really big emblem for where the show is at on MTV. With these shorter episodes, there's never really a point to settle in and just enjoy the interactions with the queens that we've grown to love from the past couple seasons. And there are funny jokes being thrown out, but it's not the same as like a full-on sketch like Lala Ree running in the workroom because she's the father. I just really miss the slowed down interaction, the talks with Rue in the workroom, but hopefully we'll get that down the line. I'm going to run through all their Snatch Game characters in a second, but I want to touch on the fact that Sugar talked about online personalities being done on Snatch Game. It really does seem like they always bomb. There isn't really a funny one off the top of my head. From what I can remember, it's people like Gigi Gorgeous, Jeffree Star, James Charles, Tabitha Brown, obviously Aura also did Bretman Rock. There's probably a good one in the mix that I'm forgetting. The closest to a good one that I can think of is Shay doing Elsa, but I think the other impression of Miss J was just funnier. You shoot yourself in the foot with these social media people because they're funny for internet culture and a lot of beats. Like Trisha Paytas is really funny for internet culture, but Rue is not about that internet culture, so you're not setting yourself up for success. We still do get a very, very funny comedic beat with Selena. I fucking adore Selena. This is so funny. Anyways, it's already time for Snatch Game. Here we go. Just for a couple comparisons, this season Snatch Game started 8 minutes into the episode. Season 14 Snatch Game started 24 minutes into the episode. A season with a similar runtime to season 15, season 8 started 11 minutes in, and All Star 7, the only other season with a double Snatch Game, started 14 14 minutes in. You get my point, we all know why the runtime is the way it is. It's just really interesting to me because for someone who has to edit for their job, I want to commend the editors and hope they know that we're not really dunking on them for this whole runtime debacle. We're critical, we're greedy we're all very critical, greedy fans who just want the most, and we're going to be frustrated when we don't see enough, but let's commend the editors for giving us this cohesive product even if it is really cut short. The editors are fighting an uphill battle. Let's make sure to keep our frustrations, no hate, just frustrations, to the people who had the choice of the runtime. Sorry for getting sidetracked again, let's talk about Snatch Game. What the fuck are these cutouts? They know what the fans want, it is so funny, these men are gorgeous, let's just move on. The second group had my favorite impression of the night, and honestly one of my favorite impressions ever, but the first group was more consistent. I'll run through each of the characters, starting off with Tim Gunn. I think Marcia did a really great job. I feel like everyone has a very surface level understanding of Tim Gunn, but she was able to find a lot of nuance in it. A lot of little clips delivered at the right time, all in character, very great job. Lux did Amanda Lepore and mentioned that Trinity didn't do that great of a job with her last time, but I think Trinity did a really good job. Season 9 Snatch Game, like I talked about on Sunday, was a really consistently strong Snatch Game. Like there wasn't one standout, there were a lot of great performances. And Trinity was right up there. She had a lot of jokes land, and I think that Lux did a okay job, but Trinity's was just a little better. It felt like Lux was prepared and she did have some good jokes. The delivery was just slightly off on some points. Malaysia as Saucy Santana, first of all, she looks amazing. I love Saucy Santana's aesthetic and I think she embodied that really well. It's just a shame that we didn't see any of it. The opening joke was good and she got one answer to air. I'll try to break down the airtime at the end, but I think it was an okay performance. Mistress as Rosie O'Donnell arguably could have been given the win. It was amazing. She was so in character, very quick the entire time. Even when she slipped up and became Abby Lee Miller, she immediately turned it around and made a joke out of it. It's textbook A+ Snatch Game. Literally everything that Mistress has done is just pure drag. I'll try to spread out my adoration for her as much as I can, but it's just she hasn't had a bad showcase yet. Anitra as Gordon Ramsay, I really don't have an opinion. Just like with Malaysia and later Robin, she got very little airtime and I thought it was fine. It was fine. The Nevada joke was funny. I like when queens break character in Snatch Game, but I don't really see a point to doing Georgina instead of just Gordon. Gorgina, what's her name? Like in season 8 when Kim Chi did Kimmy Jong-un, it made more sense. But at this point, we've evolved so much that you can kind of just play anyone on Snatch Game, so I wish it was just the dragged up version of Gordon Ramsay instead of Gorgina Ramsay. Robin was the last victim of this group to very little airtime. I thought she did fine. The impression was good. I just think that if she took her jokes just slightly differently, it would have been really funny. And finally, Selena as the Virgin Mary. I know that people aren't all gonna vibe with this, but I do love it. Maybe a little more in concept than the actual execution, but I do think that there was a lot of funniness in the execution. You never really know what you're gonna get with RuPaul on a day of Snatch Game. I feel like there are jokes here that Ru would have found funny in a different season, and that's the same way I felt with season 14's too. I think the jokes could have landed, but maybe Ru just wasn't in the mood for that type of humor. It's all very relative, so I think Selena could have had a home run maybe in a different season. Selena is very unapologetically loud. I love that, and we've seen like these screaming crazy performances do well before. Immediately what comes to mind is Scarlet Harlot on season 3, just literally screaming every time and RuPaul dies at it. And it was really high concept. I love when there's transformations in Snatch Game. So I'm really happy that Selena did take the big swing, even if it didn't fully pay off and it was edited like she was going to be low. That would be if it wasn't for 3 of the queens in the next group, but we'll get there in 1 second. Out of the whole group, Marcia and Mistress got the most airtime. And that's because they were making funny clips while also having funny answers, and the choice of showing them this much was setting up their placements later in the episode. Selena also got a lot of airtime. Again, it felt like they were setting her up for a low placement, but in the end, there were people that ended up being a little worse than her. Lux got the next most screen time. She had a couple clips that she tried to throw out there. Even if they didn't all land, at least she went for it. And then Malaysia, Anitra, and Robin all got like one joke aired, their introduction, and that's about it. Maybe they cut any clips that they said, but the only other airtime they got was when someone was throwing a joke out about them. It just kind of happens with Snatch Game, especially when there's 2 and they have to cut a lot of things down, but it just feels like they were cut down even more than any other Snatch Game, and that really sucks. They basically got 2 shots to sell you on their performance, and that's it. That's really tough. So let's move on to the next group. I don't think this group was as strong, more so because we just didn't get to see as much of the good performance because they were so focused on the bad. I do get their intentions behind showcasing a lot more bad because they had to set up the bottom placements, but that means we also got less of the funny performances that were just called safe. Let's go down the line starting with Lucy. Out of every single queen in the Snatch Game, I feel like Lucy had the most full full uncut whoa. Lucy had the most content-filled performance in this cut-down Snatch game. It felt like she had the most quips, the most setup and punchlines to jokes that were actually able to land. The cut-down edit was just the least noticeable here, and it helped that this is just a phenomenal performance. I think this could be a top 10 performance. I don't know if it's better than Jimbo's. It's just around exactly the same. Both of them did such a good job. The trajectory that Lucy is on is so promising, and I can't wait to see what she does next. And then we get Sasha, who was just non-existent, all because of the edit. It was so tough because I feel like she was funny, but I felt like they were only coming back to her out of obligation because they were like, okay, we need to at least showcase one of her jokes. If Lucy's showcase is the one that made me forget about the shorter airtime, Sasha's is the one that makes me completely remember. Jax is up next. This is so stupid. I love it. I love it. Jax got a couple jokes in, a very standard, solid performance, and I love it. I was disappointed with Sugar's performance because as an internet person, we all know about Trisha, and I just think there's so much to do with her, and it just kind of came down to her being a bimbo. I want to see Trisha eating. I want to see Trisha get down on the floor of the Snatch game set and start crying. I have so many ideas for this. I think it was smart for Sugar to play a character like this because obviously it's very up her alley, but when there's a character that you can be very comfortable with it, you have to make sure not to get too comfortable and still elevate it, and I guess that's just what was lacking. And then we get to Amethyst, like I was talking about earlier. I think she could have been even high. When a queen ends up in the bottom even a couple times and then gets a high placement, it shows that the producers may be looking out for them, but by keeping Amethyst just safe, even though they had a pretty easy storyline that they could have done with her this episode, it shows that they just may not be looking at her as much, and that's frustrating because again, I love Amethyst. I'll let you guys know now, I'm not very good with unintentional cringe. If you're being cringy on purpose, it's very Gen Z humor, it's very funny. But with Spice and Aura, it was so hard to watch. When I'm watching something with headphones and it gets cringy, I instinctively take them off, and that happened with both Aura and Spice. It happens a lot with really bad Snatch games or roasts. For Spice, it felt like she was stuck in this time capsule with Miley, and that really led to her downfall. Post Younger Now Miley is such a realized, lovely person, so I understand why she went with the earlier Miley, who had a lot more identity that she had to figure out, but it was just sticking so much to the surface with so much that we already knew that it just didn't really go anywhere. On top of the which was, oh my god, I can't watch it. And Aura, again, I'm very sensitive to her performances because I just want her to do so well, so this was rough. People were saying that she deserved the bottom placement. I don't think it was as bad as Sugar's. It felt like Aura was trying to do more out of the box jokes, and that's what I liked just slightly better. It still wasn't good though. Also, the fact that there are Filipino people back set who can speak Tagalog and just fact check Aura like that, come on, what was that? A big thing with the bottom three of this episode is that charismatic people don't always make the best Snatch game performances. You take Lizzo, Cardi B, any of these characters, they are very lovely, funny people, but in a more natural way. With Trisha, I guess there is more material, but especially with someone like Bretman, you just can't really get that much content, especially in a Snatch game type of setting. They're great for interviews and their own content, but that's because the jokes and the humor comes naturally rather than being put on the spot and being told to tell a joke. So I do end up agreeing with the bottom three and the bottom two. The runways this week were amazing. I wish we got to see them more, but you know, that's besides the point. Also, again, very sensitive to things with Aura, but I know her runway was cut down so much. This runway is all about the reveal. You see that she's happy, but like really turmoil happy, and then she's supposed to turn around and see the pain that she's concealing. But we don't even have time to process the point before the reveal, so it just loses all its impact. Again, like I've said, basically every single video, stay off of Twitter, but people were saying that this is like a Party City costume. Oh my god, it makes me so annoyed. The only reason that people are dogging on this so bad is because the reveal was spoiled. People would be full on gagging if it got the full time to air. Same thing with someone like Amethyst, but we at least got to see a little more of the reveal, but then it was immediately cut down right after. Like I said last week, it kills me that they're spending so much money on these runways just for them to get cut down so much. And people who are saying that she should have been in the bottom over Sugar, I understand that from an episode perspective, I guess, but the reason that she was just low is because the judges got the full experience of this runway and we didn't. And also for the next thing that I want to bring up, Aura is a wonderful performer. I've seen her do really, really well in a lot of stage performances, so I know that she would have killed this lip sync. So I think another reason why ultimately Sugar and Spice were put in the bottom together is because it's Sugar and Spice. Spice could have potentially won the lip sync against Aura, but to risk that, if Aura performed better in that lip sync and they still saved Spice, people would be calling rigged and robbed and all this stuff. But instead, if they eliminated Spice then and there goes a lot of potential for the storyline. So they had to jump the gun and go go for broke really early, Sugar versus Spice, the lip sync that we all kind of expected to see at some point. I already gave my thoughts on why Aura shouldn't have been in the bottom, but again, this is just extra reasoning as to why she wasn't. As for the lip sync, some people thought that it should have been a double sachet. Definitely not. What I love about Sugar and Spice is that they're already very established and they know that even if they didn't do good on the show, they are probably going to be okay. So they can go on the show and do it the way they want, and a perfect example is this lip sync. I don't think it was a good technical lip sync, but I don't think that's where the talents of Sugar and Spice lay at the time. They have an eye for what's entertaining, what can go viral, what's stupid, and the twin thing is a big thing, so of course they're gonna perform together. So I loved it. Again, it's not the best lip sync, but it's a good TV moment. And for Rue to see hundreds of lip syncs at this point, let them switch it up a bit. When else are there gonna be twins on the show? Let them have fun. They had fun. I'm happy about it. The twin storyline had so much potential, and it's still gonna have a lot of potential storyline for just Spice now. And again, I'll commend the editors for playing their cards so right, because they showcase so much of their relationship and this really hurt. But with both of their reactions, it almost felt like they knew this may happen. And that just makes me respect them more. The twins are smart, like extremely smart, especially in the entertainment industry. They know what's gonna make good TV, and they knew this was a possibility and was probably gonna happen. So they took it on the chin, and I know it's gonna affect Spice down the line, but I'm so happy with what they got to showcase together. I've been recording for about an hour and a half. I've definitely calmed down now. I just see so much potential with this season, but the runtime, obviously, it just kills it. And I know it's gonna get better with less queens, but by really overanalyzing these videos, I know under the surface there is so much more content, and this could have been a greatest season of all time, but for right now it's just a really good season. So we'll see where it goes from here. I am really enjoying this season and there is just so much potential, so stick around for the next episode that I overanalyze. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check out the other videos that I posted this week. I posted a lot. Go spread some love to the queens, and I'll see you soon with another video.